How's it going, guys? It's Richard, and you might have noticed, well, you will have noticed if you've logged onto RuneScape today, that the Evolution of Combat has indeed been released. And it was actually an incredibly smooth transition. Like it came out very early this morning before I was up, and I logged on. I was expecting to play a little bit of old RuneScape before the Evolution of Combat came out, but it came out really early. I think it was around 10 AM. But I've already noticed quite a few sort of oversight things that they probably should have thought about. Several sort of small issues, not so much glitches, well actually a couple of them are glitches, but I think they're, you know, sort of problems that maybe they should have kept the game in beta for a little bit longer before they even bothered trying to release some of this stuff. But I'm basically going to highlight some of these things in a few little clips in the video. Okay, the first thing to note is the way that the auras work. Now, if you know in the past that basically when you had an aura equipped, like when you had an aura activated, like, sorry, I'm just going to move to a slightly better area, there we go. It would glow on your right hand like that, and that still does happen if you're not equipping any weapons. But like, let's say I equip a chaotic rapier, it then disappears. Like, I don't know if that's a glitch or something, or just something that added into the game. And then if I like unsheath my weapons and everything, it's just still on the hand. Like in the past, it went across the entire sword, which I don't know, it kind of looked pretty decent, but they've removed that entirely now. I don't know if that's like intentional or not, but it could just be an oversight. Right, now if we move on to bows, now this is my magic longbow sighted. Now once again, obviously the aura is not appearing, but if I then withdraw it, you can see entirely that the aura area is designed for the old longbow. So you can see it goes around there, just absolutely nowhere where the bow is, and I just think that's a massive oversight. I'm going to zoom in actually so you can see that better. Custom camera zoom, let's put it about there. Right, you can see that, like that. This just looks ridiculous, doesn't it? Like, it's just so flawed. Like, this is the sort of thing that they would have noticed otherwise. Right, now the next thing is the polypore staff. So let's put everything away again. Polypore staff, or it doesn't appear again. This is probably the one that I noticed it the most on. So let's unsheath the polypore staff, stave, whatever, and look at that. I'm sorry, but what is that? That is where basically the aura, where the stave was when you equipped it before the Evolution of Combat. And so that like beam of aura would be on the stave, but it's just not. It's like, this is the sort of thing that a beta was meant for, and they clearly just didn't keep it in beta for long enough. So that's the massive aura fail anyway. So right, let's move on to the next thing. Okay, another thing that's like, we're going to start off by saying that the magic longbow is now actually a non-members item, which is kind of cool. Like it's always been that the maple longbow has been the best non-members bow, it's really low level. So now you can actually wield that as a non-member, which is kind of cool. So like now I have that, and wow, I didn't realize kind of what it looked like when you didn't have the longbow sight and the random massive aura on it. But now basically a non-members item is the longbow sight, and basically it massively increased the ranged accuracy of an item, and it was kind of useful for non-members as well, because they could spend 10k dungeoneering tokens and attach it to a maple longbow and make their bow a lot more powerful. So if we do that here, so we're going to attach the longbow sight to the magic shield bow, and now this is a members item. So I mean, that's a massive flaw. I mean, because I mean, for starters, you've basically used a non-members item on a non-members item, and you've created a members item. So I can't wield that at all. There's nothing I can actually do with that anymore. So I think that's another massive flaw that they've like just a massive oversight really, that they just really should have thought of. And on top of that, you can't remove the sight at all. So if you're a non-member and you don't ever plan on buying membership again, you can't remove that sight. So you've essentially just thrown away 10k dungeoneering tokens. So like, what an absolute waste. But you know, that's another one of the oversights that they've just completely forgotten about. Okay, the next thing is how the high level alchemy spell works. Now basically how high level alchemy works, basically if you cast the spell, like, there we go, let's click the spell and then just click on a random button. And if you're not wearing a shield, it just does it in your hands like that. Not wearing a shield, not wearing a stave. But I mean, obviously that's completely fair enough what that just did there. It's just a completely fine animation. Now if you're wearing a stave, then basically what it used to do, like I'll show you what it used to do, like let's bring it out, and then if you click the high level alchemy, then basically you'd obviously hold the stave like that, and then it would cast the spell upwards. Now if I sheathe my stave, it still does exactly the same animation. Like, look, your hands are still there trying to hold on to the shield, and how did they miss that? Like, that's such a common spell to be cast, and the way that they managed to miss that is just outrageous. It's just another one of many oversights that I think is pretty pretty appalling that they've managed to miss those, but you know, it's like obviously it's been kind of rushed, I think. But you know, that's it. I've only like really highlighted a few of the problems, but I guarantee there are probably a lot in the game. Like another like major issue that I think is that a lot of people don't like the whole sheathing thing. But I mean, obviously that's fair enough because you can unsheath, but you can only press the asterisk button on your on a number pad. So like all the way over to the right, if you press the asterisk key, then obviously you bring out your weapons or whatever you're holding on to. But if you try and do the other asterisk, which is Shift and 8, that doesn't do anything. It doesn't unsheath it or anything. And a lot of people that play RuneScape have laptops, and so they don't have a number pad. So their weapons are always going to be permanently sheathed. Like I saw a guy earlier, like in this exact area actually, basically as I first logged in, complaining about it. And you know, I think that is kind of a sort of problem they probably should sort out. I think it's, you know, that maybe they should make it customizable so you can choose the button that unsheathes it. I don't know if there's any other way of casting it, but that's just me not really knowing much about the beta. Another thing is every time you cast a spell now that isn't a spell that you cast on like a specific object or something, it gives you this null thing, like right at the top here. I'll zoom in so you can actually see it properly, but there is this null thing that basically normally you'd like say you were casting a spell, like if I was casting it's gone to magic spell, if I click cast Fire Blast, then it would come up, it would normally oh I don't have a target, so basically you can only actually cast when you're on a target. But I'm trying to think of an example of something that you would, let's just do alchemy again, like cast high level alchemy, appears at the top like that, and it said like basically to highlight what you would cast on, and then if I hover over an item it would do like obviously cast high level alchemy bucket. So basically it's just a massive flaw that whole null thing comes up at the top. I think that's kind of disappointing, but you know, it's the sort of thing that they'll probably change in the future, but I don't know, maybe they probably won't notice. That was actually present in the previous game, but I don't know whether it's something to do with the updates they're making because of the EOC. I just think it's a little bit of a shame that the game is sort of like almost incomplete as such, that with these sort of oversights and whatnot, it kind of makes the game feel like it's a little bit rushed. I do feel that the evolution of combat has been rushed. I'm going to predict that this was because they have a lot of updates coming out later this year, things like the Cowfight King and everything, and they probably don't really have any updates that fit with the old combat system anymore, so they sort of felt, okay, we're going to have to push this now. So maybe that's why they changed everything. But it's, I don't know, it's a bit of a shame really. It could have been really great. I feel that this is going to give quite a bad impression to a lot of new players coming into the game. But you know, I guess we'll see how things turn out. But anyway, that's it for today guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in another video soon.